This conversation we had about tapping into the Holy Ghost and the Holy Spirit that's inside of us. And the love letters, the many love letters throughout the Word that our Lord has left us. And today is just another walk down and through one of those love letters. It's about finances. You know, I feel really special when I read throughout the Bible and recognize that the Lord loves us so much and cares about us so much that every aspect of your life is contained inside these love letters in the Bible. Every aspect of what you're searching for has been right there. And I love the fact that He loved us so much and cared about us so much to give us guidance on our personal finances. You know, the Lord has not led me to speak about finances before this day. And I had some other things the Lord gives me, but the Lord orders my steps. The order that was given to me was not actually how I thought it was going to be. This was a message that I didn't see coming, if you will. I didn't know that this is what I was going to be speaking on today. But in order to be obedient, I need to go ahead and say these words. Elder Chris spoke of, for where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. It's in Matthew 6:21. You see, the heart is a vital organ. The heart allows for many nutrients, many oxygen to be pumped throughout your body. Without the heart, you do not exist in the physical sense. It's needed to survive in this world. But where is your heart? What's most important to you? The title of my message was, Where is your treasure and are you prepared? Where is your treasure and are you prepared? See, the reality of that, when I think about where your treasure is, it's not necessarily the money. Understand that God provides what you need. As I look around, I don't know, and I've heard stories, but I have not heard of anyone that said that I just don't have what I need all the time. There might be times when I remember this pastor used to say that I'm extremely bent, but I'm not broken. We go through those times. It happens. And I too am a firm believer that God prepares us for these times and these moments through acts when we're severely bent, but not broken. It allows us to thrive when things are not good in our own human eyesight. See, I've told you many times before that I've had gains and I've had losses. I've had property, I've lost property, bought, sold, bought, and actually lost, not sold. I don't dwell on those things anymore because what I know is where I stand here today and how I'm thriving today. You know, I know that the Lord had a hand in all of that. There was a time when I didn't think the Lord had his hand on me, but I recognize now that the Lord is always, not just a hand, but a big old hug. Always wrapping me up, sheltering me from the harshness of life. You see, the heart, as being a vital organ, we like to think of the heart as how it leads us with love. And the heart sometimes helps us to make poor decisions. Now, that's a whole nother story when it comes to relationship. But how many times have you made a poor decision in your personal relationships with others? Because the heart tugged on you a certain way. You didn't have enough strength to say, well, this is just not for me right now. I need to step away. See, that's what happens when the heart is in a place that you just feel like I just can't escape, and that's where you're stuck. But I'm here to tell you today, if you're stuck in a financial situation that is not where you want to be, you are not stuck right now. You are absolutely not stuck right now. We just have to change the way we think.
Amen.
We have to start to decide that you know what? I'm not going to be led by this treasure because that's not where my heart lies. The Lord wants your heart on him. You know, sometimes people say, well, if I have more money, I'll be able to do a lot more in life. If I have more money, I'll be able to do this. If I have more money, I'll be able to do that. I wouldn't be in this circumstance right now. But let me tell you something. Ecclesiastes 5:10 says, he who loves silver will not be satisfied with silver, nor he who loves abundance with increase. What that's telling us right now is that it's never going to be enough. You're putting your thoughts into the wrong things. It's fruitless to just place your thoughts in, if I have more money. There's this saying that comes across, more money, more problems. Understand that. That's a real saying, and it really makes a lot of sense. It's happened to a lot of people. 1 Timothy 6:10 says, for the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil, for which some have strayed from their faith in their greediness and pierced themselves through with many sorrows. See, again, there's nothing in the Bible that says that money is evil. I'm not going to stand here and tell you that money is evil. What the word said is the love of money. Understand that. The love of money is evil. See, what happens is when you place your love into something so meaningless in God's sight, you start to take your eye off of God. You start to try to accumulate more and more. You know, I have this lesson that I've given to my daughter, I've given to my nieces and my nephews, and I always tell them when they start off in life, if school is your choice and your path that you want to go, finish it before you make other bills. Because what happens is you start to make these particular bills in your life, and all of a sudden you have to work harder. And then you start to gain more things, and then all of a sudden you're like, well, I'm going to have to borrow some more. Then you have to go out, and then you start saying, well, I borrowed this, now I've got to work extra hours to do this, but I hadn't finished what I set out to do. We get trapped in that in life. I used to teach this course, and part of it gave me a very disheartened look on our school systems. In that when I was growing up, I don't know what goes on now anymore, but when I was growing up, they used to have this thing called home ec. Now, home ec stood for home economics. But see, in those times, they used to teach, it was really funny to me, they teach you how to bake a cake, cook a meal, maybe even sew. Now that helps through certain things, but it never really got to the point of how to manage the money once you get it. It didn't teach us how to balance a checkbook. It didn't teach us how to stay away from those credit cards. And those credit cards, let me tell you about those. When you walk onto a college campus, they give you these beach balls, and they want to pass out these things that just make your eyes they're like shiny little things, you know. I think I spoke some time ago about this, one of my favorite pets. I had this bird, and anytime you put the bird on your shoulder or anywhere, but a cat would put her on the shoulder, and her ring would just, shine in the light, and the bird would just start going for that ring, just trying to peck at that ring or her earrings, or whatever the case may be. It's these shiny things that get placed in front of us that we tend to take our eyes off of the Lord. We start to look at these human and material things that are here, that they last for a short while. They make us happy for a little bit. But then in the end, we're still stuck paying for it. And so the Lord wants us to be diligent and take care of our finances. And I said where your treasure is the first part of my title here. But the next one is, are you prepared? How many times have we actually sat and said and talked about finances, but not talked about finances in the earthly sense, but more in the spiritual sense? Have you gone to the Bible and prayed over it? Look to see, how am I supposed to manage my finances? How many times have we gone to somebody else and said, well, let me talk to you about how to manage my finances, not realizing that that person is in a worse situation than you are? Sometimes we go to the wrong person to talk about these things. So that's why I say to you that you have to Open up the love letter and start there. Pray about it. Pray over your finances. I'll share with this as couples. Pray together about your finances. Talk to each other about your finances. I say money is not evil, but the love of it is. Love is such a powerful emotion. I've shared with you that sometimes that love draws you into places that you didn't think that you would be. You have sometimes when people are saying, you know, they're from the outside looking in, they're going, I don't understand. What are they doing? I'll tell you right now, myself included, it's not that we don't understand, it's just we forget sometimes what love does and makes us do sometimes. We can't separate ourselves from what's truly real and what's truly safe for us. We can't separate from what's going to restore us and keep us on a straight and narrow path, the one that will keep us out of trouble. You know, Luke 14:28 says, "For which of you intending to build a tower does not sit down first and count the costs, whether he has enough to finish it?" This was part of a parable that Jesus was speaking, and it leads me to believe that we need to plan. How many times have we set out to do something and not had a plan? You go on the job and you pray that the owner has had a plan for that business. Pray that you're going to be okay while you're working this job. For ones that are doing certain things construction-wise or building, if you just think about it, instructions come to you. Whenever you pick up, even if it's a toy, we just had Christmas here and there were some gifts, and I'm sure that some folks had to put some things together. One of the craziest things that I try to do sometimes, because I think I know better, is I look at the box, I look at the picture, and I start to put this together without the instructions. I can do this. Till I get to a point when I say, wait a minute, this should have been turned this way, and this doesn't fit properly, and now it's just falling apart. Jesus says that sit down and count the cost first. Figure out that plan before you start in your finances. Sometimes people say, well, they get these windfalls of money. I look at some of the lottery winners and some of the young adults that have come into great wealth because of their talent, be it in acting, be it in singing, or, lottery windfalls. And then there's this show about some of the folks that have won the lottery. And where are they now? The problem is that they didn't plan. It came too fast, too soon. And a lot of times when things come too fast, too soon, we tend to not be as responsible as we should for them. So when you ask yourself sometimes, well, how come I don't have this? How come I don't have this? Have you asked the Lord, help me plan first? How can I get to where I need to be or where I want to be? Ask again, am I where I should be right now before you say, how come you haven't? Before you accuse, how come I haven't had? Let's start thinking about what did I do to prepare myself for when he does give it. Elder Chris spoke about that latch there, and he's just wanting to give. I truly believe that. I'm a firm believer that he does want to give it. But are we going to be diligent? Are we going to be responsible about it? I truly believe the Lord does not want us to have lack for anything. It says it right there. You shall lack for nothing. But then, how do we get to that point where we have what we want, not just what we need? I believe the Lord does want us to have some of these things in life, but the key to it is, let's not place that above our Father. Let's not get so wrapped up in, well, you know what, I've got this vehicle and this house, and I've got this shiny thing on my wrist, or that shiny thing on my finger, or around my neck. Those are distractions. They're just distractions. People say, oh, the devil made me do this, the devil made me do that. No, not at all. That's not what's going on. What typically happens is the devil loves to have distractions around, and then we play into it. We don't think sometimes, well, you know what, that's just a distraction. Let me step away from that. That's not what I really care about. That's not what I truly love. Keep in mind, it says, for where your treasure is, your heart will be also. Well, where's your treasure? My treasure is up in heaven. That's where I want to be. After this passes away, I want to be right there in front of the Lord. I've said it once before, where he just says, well done, your good and faithful servant. That's what's important to me. And that's what should be important to us as Christians. You know, there's dark times in our lives. But I always know that there's light. Always in the morning. Always. That's a constant. I don't have to worry about, well, you know what? The sun went down and it's dark right now. I don't have to worry about that. I know that in the morning, the sun will come up. Now, whether or not it comes up here in the earthly sense or the spiritual sense, I know that it's going to come up. I know that. I believe in that, and I trust in that. So when we talk about finances, let's trust in our Father to provide for us. But first, we have to seek it out. We have to seek it out. Where does it say in this word? Elder Chris spoke plainly that there's several scriptures in here about money and how to handle it. Are we doing it properly? I'll tell you, sometimes the world, this is for the greedy folks out there that devised this, they strayed from the word. Do you realize that most credit problems should fall off after 7 years? Should fall off after 7 years. Do you also realize that that's biblical? Has been. Exodus 22:25 speaks of it. The other side of it is when it says, it also tells us how to lend money. It says when we lend to the poor, don't charge them interest. You're not seeking the gain off of the poor. We don't do that. And I say we, I mean the companies that we see out there. Not biblical. We don't follow what was already there. But what tends to happen is when we start to go to these places, such as, and I'm not going to call them out by their business names, but payday loans, places, they don't seek to really help you. They seek to strap you down. Break that chain. Song says break every chain. This is one of those chains. Are you prepared? Money is just a tool for this world. Doesn't mean that we fall in love with it. As Elder Chris said, you got a light bill to pay. Yes, absolutely. Do we work for it? Yes, absolutely. Those are things of needs that we have right now. But it's just a tool to get us through. But how much planning have we done to receive that windfall that, he spoke of earlier? How much planning have we done? How many times have we talked about things with our loved ones to try to break those generational misuse of money? And then we sit back and we wonder, well, how come why am I having such a bad time with this? There's a generational thing. I can tell you now how I grew up. I had we didn't have a whole lot, but we had what we needed. Let me give you an example. I don't know if you remember, or if any of you have had to have this, but I remember having this, it was in white, the box was white, and the letters were black, and it would say cheese. It wasn't a Kraft brand or a Velveeta brand, it was just cheese. Had to do that. Doesn't melt very well. Let me tell you that one right now. Doesn't melt very good at all. But I had what I needed. Now, there was conversations about how to handle what the Lord has given us. And I thank God that my parents were able to, or chose to give me a little insight, but not the full insight on how to utilize what was given to us. I try to give that to pass it along to our daughter so that she doesn't make some of the same mistakes that I made in life. And I pray that she receives it. I pray that you receive this today. I pray that at this point, wherever you are in your finances, that the Lord continues to bless you with your needs, but then as you start to grow and start to enhance your conversations with God and your relationship with God, that a lot of your wants will be given to you as well. Amen. You know, I say this every day. I say, good morning, family. I truly mean that. I don't mean any harm to anyone in here. Why would you mean your family harm? Why would anyone want any harm to come to your family? I don't want that for you. So I speak these words out of love, the same love that I believe that God had for us to give this to us. Give us these instructions. You know, sometimes that we need to show that we're responsible to handle everything that God has in store for us. Not just finances, but I mean everything that God has in store for us. There are times when, you know, we sit back and we think, this is all I have. Not recognizing that this is all I have through Christ our Lord that has given it to me. We stop to think about those things first. We've got to get more prepared about that. We've got to understand a little better that the Lord has already given you this. You already won. You already won. Trust me, when I say that sometimes we go to people for advice and they are worse off than what we are in our own lives, sometimes we want certain things, but we don't realize what comes with those responsibilities. I talked about the people that have these massive amounts of wealth at a young age, and how many people do you think just start coming to them all the time? People out of the woodworks, family members you haven't seen in 15, 20 years, all of a sudden they're like, hey, you know we're family, right? How have you been? Well, you didn't care enough to ask me 15 years ago. Why now? Why now?